Good morning. It is towards the end of June 2025, so it is, of course, time for another round of updates. And as always, there is plenty for us to talk about. We never know quite what's coming up the following month, but there's core themes that run through these sessions, some updates, some new data, some trends. So no doubt we will once again fill an hour with insights and information and conversation as well. So hi, Andy, how are you?
Doing well, thanks, Luan. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you. Yeah, good. It's it's end of June. There's plenty going on. So should we just get started? Just dive in. And if you do, I've got it ready today because people always say I'm watching this on a phone and I can't get the QR code. So I have got the link ready on my second screen for if you want a copy of these slides. We are more than happy for you to have them. So click the link that's in the chat on the event or scan from your screen and we will send you a copy of the slides. Feel free to use them for yourself, share them with your team, save you frantically scribbling notes as we go through this session. But before we begin, a quick intro, I guess. If you haven't been to these sessions before, we know some of you do watch and tune in regularly, but my name is Luan. I'm a social media marketing consultant. I spend most of my hours, it feels, following the updates, reading the trends, putting those into training courses, conversations with clients, and research and writing as well. And you can connect with both of us on our LinkedIn accounts right there with those QR codes.
And if we've not yet met, I'm Andy. Currently work building products, particularly social media products for Adobe. I do this because I spent the last 15 years, sadly enough, building social media tools and tech. And yeah, this is why we spend all of our time nerding out about this stuff. Always love hearing the bells in your.
Sorry.
They're so idyllic.
It will be the last time because this is the last time I will do this update from this location. So enjoy the bells. Hopefully there won't be bells where I'm going to. And they're always slightly late. So we start on time, but the bells are always about 3 minutes late. November is rolling round. Our annual real life B2B event is happening again on the 12th of November. We would love if you work in B2B, or if you don't and you're just interested in what happens in the world of B2B, to join us for a day in Shoreditch. It is a mixture of presentations, short presentations, panel discussions, fireside chats. It's hosted in a venue where you can play ping pong if you like to. There is great food, great coffee and conversation. We hosted over 100 people last year. We're expecting to do the same this year. Do grab your tickets early because the early bird price finishes on Monday. So at the moment, it's just under £200 for an individual, or you can grab a team ticket at a reduced cost if you want to come along as a group of 3.
Love it. I am very excited. We got some wonderful speakers. Last year was definitely my favorite event of the year because the great thing is about organizing an event, you can put together the exact program that you would love to consume. So it becomes very selfish, but there's just not enough social media representation in B2B, and B2B businesses represent 63% of the economy. So yeah, incredibly important. So excited to go into that. Anyway, should we get started, Luan?
Yeah, so if you're not familiar or you just can't remember what we do every month, we start off with some data and trends, some key reports that we've both read. We have a bit of a chat about it, see what it means. There is so much information coming up. We are not expecting you to remember it all, need to use it all. Use this 1 hour so that you can catch up with things you might have missed or not quite spotted. Take some time to think about it and take away what you need. There might be some quick wins. There might be some longer term things to put into your planning. But we've got some really cool data this month.
Yeah, that's really well put, actually, Luan. So nice. All right, let's start with this. I often wax lyrical about the importance of YouTube Shorts, underpriced attention, attention arbitrage, all these terms that I fling about when I talk about YouTube Shorts. YouTube Shorts is, quite frankly, a wonderful way to drive reach on your content for free, right? So quite frankly, I often just repurpose content I've posted elsewhere onto YouTube Shorts and enjoy the extra viewership. That being said, my son still outperforms his YouTube Shorts content, still always outperforms mine, which is caused me much frustration. But alas, the point being is that 200 billion daily views. Hold on, daily views, 200 billion. That is outrageous. The amount of attention that's going into YouTube Shorts right now is phenomenal. As a result of that, and as we always saw with like TikTok, reach rates are incredible. More time spent on the platform, more opportunity for your content to be surfaced. Very, very simple maths. So yes, YouTube Shorts, very important.
And I think I read something this week around how viewing on mobile time has now overtaken TV viewing as well. So it absolutely supports the use of YouTube, whether it's long form or short form content. Media is happening on small devices that we carry around in our pockets, not on big screens.
Yeah, agreed with that. Now, this is always stuff that I pay very close attention to, right? So, and of course, this is a little bit biased, if I'm honest. It was a properly done report, but of course, it's like LinkedIn is saying B2B is important. Okay, they're going to say that. But the important thing is that increasingly this is shifting, where B2B buying is starting to look a little bit more like B2C, where influencers and creators matter. And we've always had this like falsification in B2B where we think it's just rational purchases with, based on specs, just not true. And, we're starting to see how creators are influencing buying decisions ever more. And in speaking with LinkedIn recently, they're doing a lot more, and there's going to be a lot more coming to support B2B creators. So yeah, I love to see this personally, because I've been talking about this since I started marketing.
Yeah.
Any other takes, Luan? I know you're close on LinkedIn.
I just think it's so important, isn't it? But what I would say is I think it's really important for users, social media marketers. We wear lots of different hats, and the terminology around thought leaders, creators, influencers sometimes gets a little bit mixed and overlaps. So we need to understand what that means for us and our organization. Sometimes we need to have a think about, is this something I'm doing for me and my personal brand? Or maybe is this something that I need to help my leadership team with as well internally? Because if you're working in-house, that might be something as well. What this does really mean, and for me, this has always been the power of LinkedIn, is that people do business and have conversations with people. This is not about using social media or other media channels behind a logo. This is all about humanizing things and sharing experiences, knowledge, insights, information with each other. It's all about expertise.
Sounds like a bit of a no-brainer when you explain it like that, Luan. And
this, if you can't see it, zoom in.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, again, no surprise, social platforms used by B2B buyers to consume creator content. Of course, LinkedIn wins, but it's interesting how high Instagram ranks on the left-hand side chart, actually, which is quite interesting, to be honest. Again, speaks to the value of like multi-platform strategies and platforms considered most trustworthy for B2B creator marketing. LinkedIn is up there, of course, again, closely followed by YouTube. To all the points that we've just spoken about, YouTube, incredibly important in influencing buying journeys. And I think I've got some other data related to YouTube as well, like coming up, but we're going to see in a moment quite how YouTube is really influencing buyer behavior, and increasingly so. Spoken about this, I think a couple of sessions ago, and yeah, trial reels has been growing tremendously. It was a new opportunity or a new feature, I should say, that Instagram released probably 6 to 8 weeks ago, and it had been used as a way, or it had been designed as a way for you to kind of reduce the anxiety of when you're posting something that's maybe a little bit new or maybe tailored for a slightly different audience. So rather than fearing what your existing followers might think about it, or friends that might follow your account, switching on trial reels will serve your content outside of your social graph. Although the great irony is that the vast majority of content doesn't get served to your social graph anyway. It just goes to whomever Instagram believes will like it. But either way, as we do as marketers and social media folk, we see a new feature and we're like, oh, can we use this? Can we hack it? Can we use it as a tactic? So, and unsurprisingly, people have done this, and Instagram report, this is Instagram data, by the way. So yeah, basically trial reels seems like a really good way of driving additional reach on your content. So yeah, that might be, to your point as you started this conversation with Luan, that might be one of those tactics that could be a quick win if Instagram is your thing.
Yeah, and I think there's some more data coming up in a moment around, my takeaway from this is to really start thinking about content on your social media accounts for non-followers and awareness and discovery versus content that is about nurturing and reinforcing and staying visible amongst people that are already aware of you, and thinking about those two different types of content as well. And features like trial reels absolutely allow us to be really targeted with that, because you're right, it was a kind of hacker going, well, if they only go to non-followers, that's for my awareness level content.
Exactly.
Stories are for my nurturing content.
Exactly. Perfect way of putting it. Love it. All right. Well, if anyone here is unfortunate enough to follow me on LinkedIn, you'll notice that I talk about this stuff pretty much all the time at the moment, because this is quite possibly one of the most pivotal times that I've seen in marketing in my 15-year career in doing this. Because the rules are changing underneath our feet, which makes it quite challenging to work in marketing. I think we can probably all empathize with.
Exciting and challenging.
Yeah,
We'd be bored otherwise. We'd be bored.
I like the positive spin on this one.
Yes.
So, and yeah, the key call out here, there's a couple of key call outs here, is one, Reddit is the 6th most visited website in the world. So just internalize that for a moment. Reddit, 6th most visited website in the world. That is frankly staggering. Reddit is on an absolute tear at the moment. As a result of, I've spoken about this loads, but the deal they did with Google for Reddit content to be surfaced so high up in Google, again, because Reddit's performing so well in Google search, it means the rest of organic results got pushed down as a result. Reddit also openly sells its data to Google and OpenAI and the rest to train large language models on, which means Reddit content now informs the recommendations that come out of LLMs or Google AI overviews. We're just at an incredibly pivotal moment in search and discovery. So the points that you just made, Luan, about the two sides of social media. So your overarching like discovery, awareness, and then your nurturing content. The same should be applied to how we think about distribution across the internet. So, our reach and distribution used to be, right, create blogs, rank high on SEO, and away we go. That is changing. 60% of all website visits, or 60% of all searches on Google end without a click. Massive, absolutely massive. So the world has changed. So discovery is now very different. So discovery actually, is going to be driven increasingly by AI overviews and LLMs. Great. So how do we get our brand recognized? A component of it, not the only component, it's fair to say, a component of it is the growing importance of like community management and how you can get involved in these conversations that are happening in your industry, across the internet, etc. And Reddit would be the place that I would start related to that. So both in that distribution and the kind of broader engagement piece, Reddit has a very, very strong role to play. Anyway, long description, but I think this is super important.
So we are both a bit nerdy, and so I'll share with you, I'm reading a book at the moment called We Are the Nerds, which is the Reddit origin story. So it is a few years old, but I kind of like to go back and like read the origin and how things have done. So I'll bring it for you, Andy, next time we meet, because it's nice to know the backstory. But I think what we're saying here, we are starting to talk about different platforms when we do these updates, but not to overwhelm you and say, oh, here's another platform you need to be on. Remember, if you work in social media, sometimes you are actively posting on platforms where your audiences are, but you can be using other platforms like Reddit, maybe Pinterest is one as well. Maybe you're still on X, like to gather your insights and see what's happening. So you don't have to, use them all in the same way. I'll also share with you some insights that I've in the past week been judging some awards in this sector, and I was absolutely delighted to see something different in the entries, and that some of them, can't give anything away. Some of them did say in their results section, as part of their social media campaign, we were being mentioned in AI tools and it was helping our search and discovery. So
boom, that's what we want to hear.
It was like, that's an extra point because I'm really happy about that. And it was nice to see something different and stand out, but it was also a consideration from the objective and the briefing through to the results as well. So it is happening out there. If you're not doing it right now, it is happening. And the best in the business and their case studies and their award entries are showing this as well.
Yeah. And I think that I'm not going to labor this point. So the final thing I want to say on this is that what you've just said perfectly articulates like why social media is getting more important than it ever has been. Of social media, like the platforms are no longer walled gardens. Everything you post on Instagram is about to get opened up to the internet. So we trained, LLMs are trained on it. Anything you post on LinkedIn, provided that you've toggled a little switch to say you're okay with make it public, everything on LinkedIn informs LLMs. Social media is how your brand and when I say social media, I include Reddit in this. Social media is how your brand reputation and buyer preference is shaped, and it's becoming increasingly important given the changes that are happening in search. So yes, all very important. And basically, if we're in social media, finally, it's our time.
Yes, we're not the end of the line or the pop it on social or can you just, we need to show people how important we are now alongside those other teams. But also we shouldn't be working in silos. It should be across the board, a whole nother debate. I'll start talking about this one. This is a new report that's out from Social Pilot, who have done a huge analysis on TikTok data. We love a good report when we can see that it's got a robust methodology and significant numbers behind it. So do grab a copy of this. I will put a link in the chat after this session. But there's some really good insights I've took away from this around, if you can't see it on here, it says about how many times a week to post on TikTok, but also emphasizes that sometimes less is more and it is about quality. So there's some really good kind of, it depends insights in this report of like where you're at in your TikTok journey, what kind of content you're producing as well. Again, is it for awareness or is it for nurturing content? So great insights. We like this report.
Just FYI, I'm not posting between 6 to 15 times a week because who does? Who does? Well, either way.
Well, I would just say, and it's preempting what's coming up, TikToks do not have to be videos. Remember that TikToks now can be a swipe through of images. They can be one image with a text overlay. They can be stories. So yes, I read that and went 6 to 15 times a week. Oh, that's a lot of content. It doesn't all have to be crafted, edited, put together, voiceover, video content. TikTok does have other formats, which we'll see in a second is performing particularly well. Andy, this is your favorite topic.
Well, to be honest with you, because I usually hate hashtags and usually get on a high horse and go, oh, waste of time. I always have included hashtags with my TikTok posts, and they always seem to have worked better. I had no anecdotal evidence other than, well, I only had anecdotal evidence. I had no statistics to back it up, but now I've got some statistics. Me, generally, I just hate hashtag stuffing, the 2025, just to pop it in. But yeah.
They work.
Again, they do work. So hashtags still matter on TikTok. You want to carry on with this one? I think this
this is also video length, and this is interesting in that the length of your video and the success of the engagement of that video again depends on what you're trying to do. So it says here, so when you want to engage your current followers, aim for 31 to 60 seconds. If you're trying to grow your audience, keep it shorter to maximize discovery. So again, we're thinking about our content and the purpose of our content and getting more granular about it.
Yeah, it's a really good call out.
And this is the images versus video. So this is interesting where it says images get more engagement than videos. But on the flip side, videos get more reach. So again, and there's some other data coming up, we need to think about what is the purpose of our post. Are we going for reach and visibility and numbers? Or are we going for engagement and quality conversations with people already following us? We can't do everything in one post, no matter what platform, but it is basically mix stuff up, I think is the answer.
Yeah, agreed. It's definitely a very consistent theme appearing of purpose of our post.
Yes.
It's very much appearing today, isn't it?
Yeah. And the numbers are there on TikTok. This is what's interesting. Mr. Trump has once again given TikTok a reprieve and an extension in the US, so we don't have any impact coming from there at the moment. But if we look at UK data, the app is now serving over 30 million individual users. So it makes it the biggest region in European market, and over 1.5 million British businesses are on TikTok as well. So those numbers are growing. We're very passionate about B2B. TikTok does have a role to play in B2B marketing.
Definitely. Threads continues to grow. You can see like the iOS App Store still, Threads is growing, about 350 million monthly active users. So it's still there. Conversations generally seem to be getting better on Threads. So yeah, it looks like it's continuing to gather momentum, whereas a lot of the other more digital town square type of stuff like Mastodon, Blue Sky, etc., seem to be plateauing somewhat, where Threads looks like hasn't beaten X, that's for sure, but it's certainly on a good trajectory. But with that, did you want to cover anything else on that?
Oh, I was just going to say, it's not always about the size of these platforms, it's about the purpose that you find for being there. And I'm seeing that there's some really good, I've said it before, like small niche community conversations going on Threads without the pressure of creating video content.
Nice.
Yeah. Meta, what are Meta up to? So now we're going to go through platform by platform, and Meta have offered some updates to their ad best practices. Always love it when the platforms themselves actually give you some top tips and advice and user guides. But it often seems to be like reinforcing what many, if you're already doing this, know. Create your video ads in 9:16 with audio, so how people are viewing it. Tell stories, incorporate emotional hooks, be human as well. And this was an interesting one though, because it says add text overlays to maximize messaging impact. And anyone that's been doing Meta ads for a long time knows that we always used to battle with how much text could go on them, and the 20% rules and getting rejected and things like that. But now it seems that text overlays on ads are what they are advocating.
Yeah, love that. I think pretty as expected, I think this, but always a nice reminder.
Yeah. Facebook, some updates specifically from them. Seen a lot recently about notes, whether this is like, on the back of Instagram in your DMs, the notes that you're adding for the day, on Facebook as well, being able to share those notes more publicly rather than just with your audience. This was a big one last week. Facebook videos will now all be reels. The platforms have all struggled with this, haven't they? They've incorporated video and kind of put longer form in one place and upload this in this other place and something else. So kind of not unexpected, but now they're calling all videos reels, but it means that they can be longer as well. Because again, we've been through the reels should be 90 seconds or under. Oh no, now they can be 3 minutes. Basically, Facebook are saying anything video, we're calling a reel. This is my topic that hashtags is for you. For me, it's about links in comments. So I read this headline with interest where it says Meta advises page managers to include links in post comments. What actually this says when you continue reading it, because we need to read beyond the headlines, is there's been some pop-ups for people when they're doing their posts on Facebook around you've got a link in your post that's distracting and it can reduce reach. And we see this on other platforms. We always see that don't put your links in the post because it's not what the platforms want. Of course, the platforms don't want you to be going elsewhere. They'd like to keep you on the platform. But do you put your links in comments or do you put them in the caption? The platforms are saying it's distracting. It will reduce reach. They've said it. However, I'm going to share my personal opinion of I hate links in comments for 2 reasons. One, I have to go and do something extra to go and find it. When the post is shared, very often the comment doesn't get shared. The link in the comment doesn't get shared and it gets lost. And it comes back to me, but for the purpose of my post, is this about reach and visibility or is it about engagement and a call to action? So my stance on this is I only include links if I absolutely need to include a link. For example, register for our event and buy a ticket. That needs a link to go elsewhere. I don't want to hide that and make it difficult for people to do. I don't think you should be trying to direct people to external sources if it's go and read the rest of this blog or go and read our press release. You can include that all on the platform natively now, which I know is a challenge internally when it's like, oh, it's about website traffic. You have got to play off there, but you need to decide, is this about reach? Is it about engagement? Is it about algorithm hacks? Or is it about making life easier for your audience? That's my approach.
Good take. I'm aligned.
Cool. Instagram. This is something that I think people have wanted for such a long time, and we were always told wasn't going to happen. At some point, hopefully in the next few days, you can rearrange your grid, your feed on Instagram. So if you are concerned about it, like things to be lined up, wanted to include something at some point, of hidden things and started again, you will be able to reorganize it. Some people aren't worried about this. Some people are. I like the idea of it. Making things easier, Instagram will now support that in the format you take your photo on your phone, you can upload it without needing to make any tweaks or amends to how it's going to be viewed.
Love that. Super
really simple. Yeah. We also love it when insights are easier to find on the platforms, and any Instagram user, you might have started seeing this, there's more pop-ups, isn't there, when you go into the app now, but making your insights more prominent with a really clear summary of what's happened in the last month. Broadcast channels. If anyone is using broadcast channels, please let us know, because I'm having lots of conversations at the moment of, are these valuable? Should we use them? For what purpose? It is that one-to-many communication. However, people can now reply that goes to the host of the broadcast channel, not to everyone. So it is still a bit one way, but can be useful for kind of communication with your groups, your stakeholders, but starting to open this up. So it used to be, I think, 10,000 followers that you needed. So for the larger accounts, this is going to be rolling out for 3,000 followers. So we'll see how this goes. Hopefully we won't get inundated with everyone creating a broadcast channel like we did once before, or like LinkedIn newsletters. Do it if it's relevant for you and you have a plan for how you're going to maintain it so that it's valuable, would be my approach.
The plan is the very important thing. I see so many people say, oh, let's create a community. And, whilst that sounds good, the reality is it's a lot of work. So, and it needs to be consistent. So, but I do love this because this really speaks to the thing that is growing as a trend across social, as we all know, that people are more likely to engage in those smaller spaces, those trusted little spheres. And I think that again means that we're going to see more creators, like smaller creators, have those small communities, which provide us as businesses gateways to those kind of trusted circles that everyone is creating around them. I think that's very interesting as to how we think about driving like distribution and building trust at scale. So that's the kind of macro effect that I see happening off the back of this. Anyway, back over to you.
That's right. Marty's asked a question in the chat and I've got an answer to it, so I'll come back to it. I was just trying to find the link because there's a whole article around it. I'll share with you, Andy, because I know you can't see the chat. The conversation this week around Facebook groups and some getting deleted. It's an error. There's an article on TechCrunch, so I'll pop it in the chat in a second for you, Marty.
Nice.
This is more scheduling and more kind of cross-posting between the platforms, auto-scheduling your Instagram Reels to go over to Facebook. A small tactic, but some of you might find it useful. I know there's kind of messages in the chat as well around kind of having to schedule things and remember to do it afterwards. So if you are a scheduler, cross-posting is going to make your life easier.
And I think what's quite cool is that this is like seemingly like a one-click thing. Like it's just going to take your content, move it over to Facebook, and then schedule that over the next 30 days. I think we know that Facebook and Instagram have been very keen of you cross-posting, and historically there's been some reticence to post the same thing across multiple platforms. I think this really is like a very clear signal that whilst it's all down to personal preferences, there's no right way of doing stuff, But I really think it's now the accepted norm to take the same content posted across multiple different platforms to maximize reach. And, you know, ever since you told me this last month, I think it was, and I've been tracking this, like the growth of Instagram Reels as well.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, Instagram Reels is providing some fantastic growth opportunities right now. So yes, repurposing, very, very useful.
Yeah. And again, we're seeing more on the platforms where we are getting suggestions, just like the Facebook, you know, your link is distracting. Instagram is also testing out some post suggestions. So as you're adding things, as you're within the app, it's sometimes giving you suggested fixes. Because it's within the app and it's directly from platform, take attention to those. It's there to help you. Instagram DM updates. I had to look twice at this one, Andy, to go, what was it? What was this update? Because I have seen that for those people that I think it's like over 100,000 followers, there's more filtering available in the inbox to help you manage it. But I was happy about this one because if anyone has heard me say this before, this is about voice notes in your DMs. And this update is around how you can now have a voice clip transcription. So you don't have to listen to the 5-minute voice note. You can just tap on it and then it will give you the text as well. So if you're like me and not such a big fan of voice notes, you don't have to take time out to listen to it now. You can tap it and get the transcription within your Instagram inbox. You a fan of voice notes, Andy?
No. Well, I am if I can read them, not having to listen to them. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And LinkedIn have been up to stuff as well. This next one I like is the first one is around transparency, and we know if you've looked or you've aware of this, ad libraries on the platforms completely searchable in terms of, you know, what your competitors are doing, what other organizations are doing. LinkedIn have now made their job ads searchable as a database. So yes, you can search through their jobs section, but now actually go to LinkedIn jobs library to search for active jobs and past jobs. I think it goes back a year or so as well. So if you are actively looking for a role, that could be easier for you. If you want to see what kind of roles are out there, you're updating your CV and want to mirror some language, words, see what your competitors are doing, LinkedIn have made their jobs library a lot more searchable and easier to access. And more analytics on LinkedIn posts. This, I think, goes back to my comment about it's not always about reach and impressions. It's about the granular levels of detail behind the post and what it means to us. LinkedIn added a few months ago, rolling out being able to see the number of impressions on your comments. Comments are content. But now we also have some data around our posts and how that's driven viewers of our profile and also how it's driven new followers as well. So again, greater levels of detail. What did you want the post to do? What are the results? It's not always about impressions and big numbers.
Agree with that.
For me. And another ad format, LinkedIn, again, in terms of their campaign manager and their ads, have had various new formats over recent months, from event ads to thought leader ads, and now a format called first impression ad, which means you can set up your ad to appear as soon as someone opens the app. Haven't tried these out yet, but I think it's quite a nice idea. Could be good for big brands, could be good for product launches. Good targeting on LinkedIn. I like that they're adding these more detailed levels of targeting and opportunities.
Yeah, agreed. All right then, let's cover
You
off
do TikTok.
You're doing all right for time today. Brilliant.
Oh.
So because we spoke about earlier that TikTok is a place that is so commercially orientated right now, right? So 1.6 billion in spend in the UK has gone through TikTok, which is phenomenal. They're really caring about like, how can we understand our audiences here? But like, we now can even break down our audiences on TikTok by buying stage. And this gives us some fantastic insight into if we are a D2C brand, B2C, whatever, this gives us new opportunity to see the stages of our buyers so we can evaluate. As you know, this relates to like TikTok shop, obviously. So, you know, it needs to be linked to that. but this gives us an opportunity to really see how active our buyers are, as clearly, it's taken them a while, but now the culture has shifted to a point where clearly we're very comfortable with purchasing stuff directly on TikTok. So they're leaning very hard into TikTok Shop and helping us understand where our buyers are. And again, on TikTok for Business, which is always very useful if you think TikTok is the right platform for you, there's a whole bunch of audience insights here. So go to TikTok for Business and you'll see this. The Insight Spotlight will give you all of the trends that are happening in and around your sector. Again, you'll be able to search those different terms, whatever category you're in, etc. And you can get some insights in terms of what those viewers are watching, the type of content that's working, etc. Fantastic for inspiration. Moving on over to Threads. This will make you happy, Luan, given your narrative around links. Threads is more traditional in the way that it works, right? So we already know video isn't the way forward on Threads. Just text wins. And they're doing more to make links more visible as well. So not that we just want to go ahead and spam the chat with links, of course. It needs to have a point, of course. Luan, your point still absolutely stands, is like optimize all of our content for consumption in the feed. If it doesn't need to be a link, don't link people. But if we do need to link something, on Threads, there is the platform for that because it doesn't downrank content. So really important. Again, sticking with that thread that we've been running throughout the whole of this conversation so far, is that you've got your distribution platforms and you've got your engagement platforms. Threads is very much one of those kind of more engagement orientated platforms where we're nurturing relationships with folk. And that's where links can be very important. And here we've got some further insights here. And this is, again, to the point of like Threads being like that more engagement orientated platform. Threads is not going to suddenly introduce you and drive you to a whole load of awareness in the same way that like a YouTube Shorts could, but it can get you part of the conversation in and around your sector. So we're now looking at, or we now can see rather, the amount of followers and interested parties related to a certain topic, which allows us to jump in related to these topics. Again, I spoke about this last month. These topic tags have really helped Threads start to gather more momentum as people are now interested around certain sectors. And YouTube. Now, I think I have very mixed feelings on this. I probably skew a little bit more negative than positive on this. And you're going to see this across all the social platforms. Meta have already announced that they're heading this way, where a lot of ad creation is becoming very AI driven. Some of that works very well. I'm sure we've all seen like the AI generated gorilla ad that's been doing the rounds on LinkedIn. I'm sure we've all seen that. Because generative AI, is getting to a point that it is incredibly good. And now YouTube are leaning into that. So you'll be able to generate a end-to-end ad on YouTube just through a text prompt. Again, it still absolutely requires like your human creativity and ingenuity to think it through. So it does lower the barrier to creation. However, it still means that it's on us as the creatives behind the concept to try and figure out what we can do. The more macro thing that I worry about is that given that you've lowered creative barriers so dramatically, not everyone will have the same creative idea. We're going to see more AI slop, as it's called, just general like AI crap that people put in the feed and put as ads. It's going to make ad prices go up. It's going to make competition more fierce. So that's a negative side compared to like the positive, which is lower creation barriers, and empower us in ways that we've never been empowered before. So there's definitely a challenge there. But quite frankly, the broader narrative here, and the final thing I'll say on this is like, just try and make sure human storytelling is at the center of this. Take the inspiration from what you just shared earlier, Luan, about what Facebook was saying, or Meta was saying across Facebook and Instagram is driving the best. Humans, human stories, human storytelling, face to camera type of stuff. will increasingly help us stand out, I feel, because very quickly, I believe us as consumers, we're going to grow quite fatigued of AI content in the not too distant future. That's my general kind of like, my rose tinted specs. So let's see if that actually turns out.
For anyone that follows Ash Jones on LinkedIn, he summarized it up perfectly for me in a post this morning. So perfect that I wrote it down. And he said, don't allow AI to do your thinking for you, but use it to make your ideas better.
And that is exactly it.
Yes.
Perfectly articulated.
Yes, of course. Always.
Yeah, we love Ash. Better product stickers, as you can see, they look a little bit better. YouTube Shorts, again, in the same way, leading into the trend of like TikTok of being a real direct to consumer type of product. People are very behaviorally aware of being able to purchase products on YouTube. So now we've got more tools to help us with that. We can add some polls to YouTube Shorts. So we've got a bit more customization control. Oh, and actually, I promised I was going to share something about YouTube in this, but I never actually ended up including it. So let me tell you what that is. Link searches on YouTube have tripled in the last 6 months. And even though, I think that's in direct response to the fact that searches are declining a bit on YouTube. So the rise of AI search, increasingly YouTube is being used. As we already know, it's always the number 2 search engine, but actually it's getting more, well, triple the share of traffic right now. So again, that really goes back to the point of like how important YouTube is as a broader strategy, but also how important it is for people to be able to still watch those like how-to videos, still want to watch the videos that guide people through a process. And again, that's where the human connection can be incredibly powerful. So yeah, I'd very much factor YouTube into that broader shift of SEO. Again, talks to the value and importance of social media. Now, very occasionally, sorry, did you want to chime in with something?
No, it was this one coming up. Like, what do we think? What do we all think?
Yeah, ads in WhatsApp, something that no one asked for, but Meta very much wants. It's taken them a long time to turn the screw on WhatsApp and try and turn this into a revenue generator. But 3 billion users, they want to make some money out of it somehow. Ads will only appear in like those statuses rather than in your actual chats. But then, thinking about this, if I remove my consumer lens from this as to whether this is good or not, probably not. But it does mean like WhatsApp has been an absolute sleeping giant for many of us when we think about us from like a marketing perspective. We've got a lot more we can now do on WhatsApp to try and like build community through our WhatsApp channels, through being able to run, ads to get in front of these status updates. Of course, not everyone uses those, the vast majority of usage is all in chats, obviously, but we now have some interesting ways that we might want to explore how we could reach an audience at mass, right? And I think that is quite interesting. And to that end, they're dialing up on these promoted channels as well and channel subscriptions. Again, that talks to that rise of those private communities and how Instagram are making moves around these broadcast channels and lowering the barriers to those. So I think there's some interesting stuff going on here. If I remove some of the the cynicism that I have here, I think there really is some interesting stuff for brands and marketers here. That's my take anyway.
Yeah, I'm giggling because the answer is no, we don't want it in the chat.
Yeah, I would have thought so. We're always funny as marketers. We hate being marketed to, but we love it when we've got new tools to reach new people. So
yes, absolutely.
We're complex characters. So we can also now share WhatsApp clips to Facebook clips to WhatsApp as well. And yeah, fine. I think this is the last thing. Yeah. Finally, Reddit, you can now turn your comments into posts as well and track your stats related to comments. I've given all the narrative already about why comments are so important, and they've just been given extra power. So if you haven't yet got the message, go join our B2B event. If you're in B2B and do social media, you probably should be here because this is the only event dedicated to it. So And of course, it's hosted by Luan and I. So what could be better?
And there's a WhatsApp group for people who attend.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. No ads, promise. So
No.
do you want to wrap us all up today?
Yeah, we've seemed to have covered a few new areas today, which I think is great. Always supported by data, but summarizing the changes in using behaviors which reflect the features, how they can become valuable to us, what we do need to think about, and Facebook Reels and YouTube give us huge opportunities. So we've said it a few times, guilty of it personally a bit as well, need to pay more attention to these formats. Andy's a big fan of Reddit. We're seeing more and more of it happening, the value of it. Go and explore it if you haven't already. If you're in B2B, creators, as we saw from LinkedIn's report, is becoming a key tactic. We are seeing it in our feeds as well. If you're not seeing it, look a bit more closely for the promoted by and the kind of the ad content coming through. It does seem quite authentic in the feeds, but it's absolutely working for some brands as well. And WhatsApp is also changing, and we'll have to watch this space and what that means. I hope you find it useful for us to kind of explore other platforms in these sessions. If there's news about it, we will include them. Do let us know what you need from us, what we can go and find for you, how we can help. We've just got one question in the live chat, Andy, and it's not relevant to one of the updates, but it is an interesting question. So if I read it out and then I'll take it first and get your thoughts on this. Hi, Penny. We met face-to-face last year at an event. Interested in thoughts about people being transparent on LinkedIn about their experience, e.g. accurate about their roles and responsibilities. And the second part, does a company have the power to ask them to change it if it isn't correct? So I think, Penny, there's two roles for using LinkedIn to consider here that might change the answer to the question. One, are you using your LinkedIn profile for job search and actively searching for a new role, in which case you might write your experience section slightly differently because it is for the purpose of a job application, versus if you're in a current role and you're using your experience section and your story to show and tell how you can help the people that you're engaging with, whether that's clients, suppliers, partners, or referrers. I don't think a LinkedIn profile needs to be a cut and paste of a CV. It should be nuanced towards the platform, more of a summary and a story tell. But my personal opinion is it does still need to be accurate, honest and truthful. And does a company have the power to ask them? I'm not a legal or HR expert, but again, my insight and perspective on this would be, if you're a current employee or a past employee, check your terms and conditions of your employment, what you're allowed to say about the organisation. And if you're within a company with issues, then make contact and have a chat about it.
Yep, seems sensible advice to me.
Yeah. Anything, what's your perspective on like the use of the experience section on LinkedIn, Andy? A cut and paste of a CV or more storytelling?
Storytelling, for sure.
Yeah.
And
how you can help people.
I had this slightly off topic, but like I had this conversation and a quite heated debate a few years ago. They do a lot of like employment coaching.
Yeah.
And someone was trying to tell me that a CV is a legal document, and that is factually incorrect. A CV is a means to tell a story. Now,
yes,
you're telling a story does not mean a lie. It means we often make sense of all of our decisions in hindsight, right? So our career might, we might have taken some wrong turns in our career. I know I certainly have. But when you look back, you can tell a story and see the thread that exists between it. And of course, you present that story in your experience section towards the way that you'd like to be perceived, right? So none of that is a lie, but you, like a story, you elevate the thread and the narrative that means the most. And it is your LinkedIn is for marketing, right? So as your CV is to market you and help you be seen favorably by employees. So I'd look at it in the same way. So yes, narrative storytelling, but it's important that sometimes people get a bit confused when I say storytelling on this, and people say like you're making up a story. That's not true. It's about elevating the things that matter.
If you're including facts, make sure they're correct.
That is true.
And then a lovely question at the end, and really happy to share about this. So hi Chris, I'm guessing this might be one of your first sessions. He said about how did we promote this live? It literally just popped up. We've been doing these events for 5 years. We've mixed between hosting them on GoToWebinar, on Zoom. We've been doing them on LinkedIn for a couple of years now because it is a format that is available. We set up a LinkedIn event. We can invite our connections to that LinkedIn event, in which case you can register for it and get a notification. If you are connected to myself or Andy as we go live, it pops up and says, Luan is now live, Andy is now live, and you can watch it in real time. We're really happy to share. We have many registrations. The numbers are visible if you've had a look. Some people do watch it live. Most of our numbers come in the next 2 to 3 hours because the recording becomes available on our profiles, and we repurpose it by downloading it and uploading it to YouTube as well. So it's a whole mix of activity. Some regular viewers, some people connecting through LinkedIn, and also our email updates as well. So lots of different ways. Assuming LinkedIn's events are always public. Yeah, it's on. If you go to the LinkedIn homepage on your desktop, down the left-hand side, you will see events. You can search through them for events to attend, like you can on Eventbrite, for example. You can promote your events. They don't have to be a LinkedIn Live. It could be one you're hosting elsewhere. It could be a real-life event as well. It's kind of a holding page, but we opt to use the LinkedIn Live feature because it's easier when we're live. We don't have to let people into waiting rooms and send people links. So different ways of doing it. But if you haven't done it, have a look through the LinkedIn events feature. There's lots that you can attend on there as well. We like it.
Agreed.
Easy to run.
Yeah.
Okay, so book your tickets for November by the end of play Monday to get the first early bird discount. Tickets will still be available. They'll just go up in price as event marketing does. We will be back to do another one of these updates. Our next date will be the end of July, the 31st. We do have a break for August before we come back in September. Make sure you're connected with us to follow the updates that we post throughout the week, throughout the months as well. If you've got any questions, give us a shout.
Thank you, everyone. See you soon.
Take care. Bye.